Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to my channel, Mental Training with Mez. I am your mental fitness trainer here on social media. And what I like to do is every once in a while, or, on this page, it seems to be every day so far, I want to share 5 steps, 5 techniques, 5 strategies, 5 ways, 5 perspectives. It's just the 5 series. It's a way of condensing knowledge that would be beneficial to us in digestible pieces, like making it easy to implement, easy to understand, easy to digest. So if you haven't watched the 5 series, just pick whichever one kind of stands out to you. They all, in their own right, will help you get to whatever goal or vision you have for yourself, whether that be towards healing or toward manifesting. Just really give yourself a chance to really listen to what is being said and to digest it from a place of expansion. Don't be so narrow, so limited minded. A lot of this information was very new to me. I was very resistant towards it in the beginning. And it was only because I had limiting beliefs. I hadn't yet began to restore the health of my mind. And so a lot of the information just was scary. A lot of it felt intense or extreme. But I've come to realize now, especially learning and observing the law of faith, that knowledge acquired is only powerful once implemented. If we are really truly to know how powerful God is in our lives and how, provided for, protected, and sufficient we can be with God in our lives, we have to actually implement the knowledge that we're being given. And so, what I'm sharing with you guys is from my own experience, but I know that I am not separate from you. I know I am not different from you. We are all designed to be able to not only understand a lot of the information given to us, but to know exactly how to use it. If you haven't watched the 5 universal gifts that God has given us, that video is really powerful because it basically shows us that we all have unique gifts that we can leverage. And these 5 universal gifts, if you really leverage them, really learn to harness them, you'll see that they move you progressively forward toward the life that you desire to see and experience in a very harmonious way. So you're not going to be making sacrifices that you feel are sacrifices. But let's just jump right in. Today's 5 series is going, and I'm sorry, my son is not feeling well today, so he's home. So you might hear him from time to time either cough or, call for me or something. So today's 5 series is called The 5 Disciplines of the Body Temple. And a discipline in the context of faith, because that is how I share everything. All the knowledge that I'm sharing with you is through my experience of the law of faith, of acquiring knowledge and implementing it from the stance of faith, which is mental discipline, mental obedience to focusing and concentrating on God. That is where I get this. That is how I translate a lot of the information that I come across. Is how would God want me to understand this? How would I be asked to perceive this moment, this situation from a pure, non-biased, non-judgmental, no prejudice, just pure observation? Okay, so the 5 disciplines of a body temple. So like I said, a discipline is a mastery of a skill. When we are disciplined in something, it's because we have mastery over it. We understand that skill. We know the functionality of what it is we're doing. We know it so well, there's no thinking involved. It is a discipline. It is just how you do things. And one of the things my husband, Michael Beckwith, really embodied that I've observed is the willingness to embrace discipline. So discipline is a word. When you learn to embrace discipline, you realize that mastering a skill, being proficient at it, being sufficient in it really is beneficial to whatever it is we desire to see and experience in this life. And my message will always be that we are here to create. We're here to bring into fruition the life that we desire to see and experience. That's how we inspire others. That is a purpose, a mission that God has given all of us, to bring into reality a life that you want to see, you want to experience. Because God knows for us to be able to do that, we actually have to develop, bless you, baby love. You're welcome. We actually have to develop a high level of trust in God if we desire to go about it from a state of mental peace. Absolutely, you can pursue your goals with anxiety and, stress and ill health and just uncertainty. That is a path that you can take. Many people tend to take it because they feel like that's a part of the game. And it is a part of the game. But what is also a part of the game that faith teaches us is that we can do everything from a state of mental peace. We don't need to be anxious about pursuing the life that we desire to see and experience. We don't need to be afraid or fearful or doubtful or uncertain. We can maintain a state of mental peace because that is a gift. That is a natural, innate, inherent function of the body temple, is for the mind to remain at peace as it is engaged in pursuing day-to-day activities, but also the goals and the desires we have to fulfill. So let's just jump right in. All right, so 5 disciplines of the body temple. So basically, these are 5 disciplines, 5 skills that the body temple has that can allow us to harmoniously, gracefully, unapologetically pursue the vision that we have for our lives. If you don't have a vision for your life, please watch the video on the 5 principles of success. A successful life is one where there is no regrets, no desires left unfulfilled, and where you did not settle. You did not settle in any way with your vision. That is a successful life. And there are principles to success to ensure that you live a successful life. So watch that video. It'll just give you some insights, a little bit of a foundation to lay down, but you do need a vision for your life. A godly man, a godly woman has a clear vision for their lives, and they know exactly what to do to bring that vision to fruition, and they know what true wealth is. They understand where their source, where their fulfillment, where their power, love, and freedom comes from. And once you understand that, you're unstoppable. So let's jump right in. I keep saying that, but we're actually going to jump in. Okay. So the first discipline of the body temple is mental discipline. This means that the body temple has the ability and capacity to maintain a state of peace no matter what is or isn't happening in the moment. The body temple is designed to be focused and centered on God and can think, make decisions, and take action from a state of mental peace. So when we are focused and centered on God, we can absolutely think, which I expressed in one of my other videos. I think it was yesterday's video on our universal gifts. One of the things that we overlook is that mental peace is actually a much stronger, intelligent, and wise way to make decisions from, to take action from. And thinking is the process of knowing where to go to get the answer. So when people say you need to think about what it is you want to do, you need to think about your vision, this means you need to know where to go to get the answer to that. And a lot of us don't know where to go to get the answer to the questions that we have. And the main message that I have is the breath. The breath is divine spirit. It is said in scripture, we were breathed into existence. If you want to know the source of your power, of your love, of your freedom, of the gifts that you have, of your mission in life, of what you're here to bring to the table, what you are here to offer and deliver and create and inspire, the breath is your focal point. The breath is the source where you can get those answers. Thinking is not something that you do where you go into the past of your memory to find an experience that is similar to what you might be facing and using that memory to address that situation. If you are truly thinking the way God designed us to think, you need to know exactly where you're going to get your answer. And I teach a form of mental training, which is called faith-based mental training. It's using the breath as the focal point so that you're always where you need to be in order to get the answers to the questions you have, in order to know what type of response or reaction the moment is asking of you, and in order to feel safe, secure, and stable in that action, in that response that you are taking in that moment. You will never have any regrets. You will never second guess yourself. You will never doubt yourself when you learn to take all your decision making from a state of mental peace. And that comes from the body temple naturally knowing where to go for its source of all supplies, needs, wants, and desires. Sorry, guys, my eyes itching. So, mental discipline is the body temple mastering the understanding, the knowledge, right? So, this is information being given to us. To master this discipline mentally, you have to know where to go to get your answers. You have to know where to go to get your fulfillment. And the breath is universal to every single individual. It is also accessible to every single living human being. So that to me is already proof that divinity is extremely intelligent, extremely divine in its nature, that it has made itself readily accessible and universal. So to me, that's truth, where it can't just be relative. The only thing that can be relative about God is how we experience God. But the fact that there is a God and that we all have access to this God and we all cannot debate or argue the validity of God, that is what being divine is. That is what surpassing human intelligence is when you can answer the question that would create the most doubts. The breath is divine spirit. It represents everything that God is in our human experience. It is the beginning and end of our existence. It is how we can see beyond seeing, touch beyond touching, because you go to the breath, but it's spirit. It isn't a tangible like the hand or the body temple is, but it is as tangible as understanding what something real means. And so the breath is the focal point of all the teaching, of all the training that we do, because that's where you go to get your answers. That is the source where you can begin to validate every piece of information that you are given. If they were to take away every book and destroy every book in this world, you would still know how to handle and navigate life, how to use the resources you have, how to intuitively survive and thrive in this world, because the breath is the true source of intelligence. It is the true source of sustenance. So mental discipline is your body's ability to know that it can remain in a state of mental peace. Our mental body has the potential to concentrate and focus on God. And the reason why I'm specifically saying on God is because it's life. God is life. And so I can substitute the word God if it makes a lot of you uncomfortable and use the word life. The body temple has the ability and capacity to maintain a state of mental peace when it is focused on life, because life is the thing that you are living. That body temple that we have is a living organism. It is life. That world, the environment that encompasses this body temple is life. So whether you're talking about the God up there in the sky or the God within, it is all the same thing. There is no barrier to something that is the creator of all things, that has no form, that is formless in its nature. You can't separate yourself from God. Where would you be going? Where would God be going? It's omnipotent, it's omnipresent. So we have to break free of this limiting belief we have that life is not mental. Life is 100% mental. It is mental first. That's why in my hashtags, you'll see me put mental fitness first. Get yourself mentally disciplined. Train yourself to remain focused on life so that you're able to understand the life that you are living. Everything in our existence, in our human experience, is trying to teach us, but we are easily distracted. We're distracted by things that don't actually create the level of safety, security, and stability that we want in our bodies. So one of the best things you can do is train with me. Subscribe to this channel, become a client, and let me help you realize that being mentally fit is one of the best things we can do in our lives. And there is a very safe, very stable way to go about it, and that is using the breath as the focal point. So the first discipline of the body temple, that it's a skill that the body temple naturally has. So this is not something you have to work hard for, but you do have to be willing to experience it, which is one of the biggest lessons of the law of faith. Is you have to be willing to experience life, which means to experience God. It is not just reading your scripture and then not implementing what you're reading. You have to be willing to experience life. And thankfully, by the grace of God, we have a body temple that is mentally designed to be focused. It is mentally designed to be concentrated. But when we don't discipline ourselves to be mentally focused and concentrated, that's when we're susceptible to injury. That's when we're susceptible to making bad decisions, not seeing the lessons that we need to learn. And so we're stuck in this cycle of repeating habits, experiences, emotions that we want to break free from. We desire to break free from, but we're not being mentally disciplined. And so we find that we're struggling to do that. Are you okay, baby? Yeah. Okay. The second the second discipline of the body temple is emotional discipline. This is another skill that the body temple naturally has, which is the ability and capacity to remain centered and balanced, grounded, anchored in the present moment. So emotional discipline, which is something that the body temple naturally has, it is a skill that is intuitive, innately inherent within us. We're creating the issue in our mind, but that's why knowing that mental discipline is something that you naturally have. You can bring your mind to a state of mental peace and begin to really listen to what is being said. Emotional discipline is the body temple's ability and capacity to remain centered and balanced no matter what is or isn't happening. That is going to be constant. Our ability to maintain a state of mental peace, to maintain stability, groundedness, anchoredness, comes from us not being dependent or relying upon what is or isn't happening in our human experience. You have to know where your source of power is, where your source of safety is, where you are always protected, always provided for, and always being taken care of in all ways. Always. When you are focusing on God, you have to know where that source is. You have to know where your source of connection to God is, because being stable, being centered is something that is natural to the body temple. When we find ourselves feeling emotionally overwhelmed, emotionally overstimulated, it's simply because we don't know about this discipline in the body temple. We don't know about this skill that the body temple has, because now that you know it, you have to explore it. And so you have to give yourself an opportunity as sincerely as you can. Sincereness is one of the second principles of faith. It means to be honest about how you're feeling while maintaining obedience to your concentration on God. So if you can be sincere in the present moment, acknowledge, yes, I'm feeling anxious. Yes, I'm feeling uncertain. Yes, I'm feeling scared. Yes, I'm feeling excited. Yes, I'm feeling, you know, angry, frustrated, confused. You can feel those emotions while maintaining concentration on the breath, because to maintain concentration on the breath keeps you alert, it keeps you relaxed, but it also keeps you tethered to divine intelligence, which is God. And so, in that moment, because you're maintaining obedience, mental discipline on God, that emotion, that energy is going to compel movement. It is going to force you to have to make a choice. You're going to have to move in some way. And sometimes moving might mean staying still, because that is also an action for those of you who want to, be clever. Being still is also a movement. It's a movement of non action. But in the moment, if you are connected to your breathing, and you understand that this is where you are going to get the answer to whatever you're going, this is where you're going to get the solution. Please watch that gift video. This is where you, the universal gifts video. This is where you're going to get a suitable solution for the problem that you are facing, for whatever's creating that overly stimulating energy. Then that is going to allow you to maintain balance. And so you can, athletes probably in the moment when they're in their element, when they're in their environment, playing the sport that they've mastered or, become highly proficient in, they are maintaining inner resolve. They are maintained. Now, sometimes they lose that centeredness, right? Because that emotion, they lose the focus of the breath, and they lose their anchored, centered, illuminating substance. They lose sight of that, and then they allow the emotion to take them out of character. But the ones who are very good, the ones who have won championships, the one who have surpassed a lot of the records, and I'm talking across all sports, male and female, is because they understand stability. Being a godly man or a godly woman has nothing to do with whether you're talking fast or slow, whether you're moving fast or slow. It's more so about being able to do these things harmoniously, gracefully, unapologetically, like you're elegant in your movement. Moving, like athletes to me are great representations of don't place your knowledge in a box. Speaking fast, speaking slow has nothing to do with whether or not you are godly or not. It has more to do with intentionality. Are you at least aware of what's coming out of your mouth? Are you at least aware of your gestures? Bless you, my love. Are you aware of your posture, of your tonality, of your delivery? Because if you are aware of it, then you are stable, you are grounded, you are anchored. But if you are not aware of it, then the information may come across a bit scattered. It might not have as much clarity. It's one of the reasons why I try not to use too many notes when I upload these videos, because I really want to develop full trust in where I'm getting my information from. I want to develop not being regretful, not being afraid or second guessing what I'm sharing, because I'm very certain where it's coming from. Now, I realize it does take time to get better at communicating it, but that's what practice is for. That is why I upload these videos, even though I know there's so much more I need to do in terms of packaging it and branding it, which is another thing that a godly man or a godly woman knows. A man or a woman of faith, we know how to package and brand. So ultimately, there are a few things I want to develop, but knowing that we can maintain stability while experiencing stimulating emotions that are intended to come and go. That is what brings you into emotional discipline. When you understand, wait, my body temple is designed to do this. It is designed to maintain stability while I feel emotions. And so I would be better served to practice experiencing this truth about myself, right? So that's where becoming mentally disciplined comes into play. You have to learn to maintain concentration and focus on life, because there is going to be an opportunity for you to practice maintaining stability while experiencing an emotion. And it goes for any emotion, any experience. Any emotion, any experience, you can maintain stability and groundedness, a sense of safety, because you're focused on God, you're focused on the breath. But you have to experience that, because this is the truth about the body temple. It's a skill that the body temple has, being emotionally disciplined. And lastly, I just want to say this: when you are emotionally disciplined, you are emotionally free. Not emotionless, you are emotion free, which means you're not controlled by what you are feeling. Being emotionless is not even possible, because if you're here as a human being, the inhale and exhale will teach you fairly quickly you cannot escape feeling. So this is one of the skills that the body temple, because it has this knowledge, it knows we cannot escape pain. We cannot escape suffering. We are not going to escape discomfort, being uncomfortable. It is a part of the human experience. And the body temple knows that. That's why God designed us to be emotionally disciplined, so that we don't allow these emotions to force us out of character. You are a godly man, a godly woman, which means you know how to create, you know what it is you're here to create, and you know how to use the resources available to do it. But to do that, you do have to tap into the naturalness of your body temple, the way you were designed. And being emotionally disciplined is a part of that. The third discipline of the body temple is physical discipline. This means that the body temple is designed to naturally know how to handle pain, how to endure it. So we have a body temple that can tolerate pain. It can endure, and it can endure for long periods of time. Take it from someone who comes from a lineage where for 400 years our ancestors had to go through a long period of suffering. But it was a period of suffering. 400 years is not where our history begins. As much as history books in America would like to teach us that, our history does not begin as slavery. We all come from very abundant, opulent lineages. Every single one of us who looks like me, who has this color skin, whatever shade it is, whether it goes all the way from lightness to darkness, we come from lineage. If you are here in this human body in 2025, we come from a lineage of opulence and abundance. That's where our lineage begins, because God does not put any of us here with lack and fear. We come from abundance and prosperity. But there was a 400-year period where we were enduring suffering, where we were, really engaged in deep, deep pain. But what that really made me understand is our ancestors really understood the body temple's ability to endure. And that is why they didn't give up. That is why they didn't choose to kill off the lineage, because there were a lot of women who made the choice not to procreate during that time. There were a lot of women who chose not to continue on. And I'm specifically speaking to women because, again, yes, men are very important in the process of creation. But ultimately, if she decides, whether a man agrees or not, to um, rid herself of pain and rid herself of suffering by unaliving herself, then she discontinues that lineage. She discontinues that possibility of that lineage being continued on. And a lot of the women in our family tree made that decision. They chose not to continue on. But those who did, especially in my lineage, those who did, this is the knowledge that they knew. They knew that the body temple has a natural ability to endure pain. It can endure high levels of pain. It can endure high levels of discomfort, of uncomfortableness, of discontentment, dis-ease. So when we find ourselves being easily triggered by words, that is a problem. That is a problem, because the body temple is designed to endure high levels of degree of pain and discomfort. And so if words, which are one of the most abstract forms of creation that God has allowed us to enjoy, if you find that words are becoming triggers for you, it's because you are failing to remember that you are physically disciplined. You are naturally designed to have the skill to endure. Of course, again, this doesn't mean that you are passive, you're submissive, that's what emotional discipline is about. That's what mental discipline is about. We are not here to just allow ourselves to be doormats, to be walked on, that's why you have to tap into where your source of power, love, and freedom comes from. You have to know that the breath is your portal, because you will make better use of your body temple. We will know how to handle words, emotions, experiences, thoughts, challenges, obstacles when they come our way, when we understand that we have been specifically, divinely, very lovingly designed to handle this thing called life. The human experience, I'm sorry, the human experience is not intended to be overwhelming, overly stimulating, confusing, difficult. Yes, it is to have challenges, but if the word difficult means incapable of or impossible to, then that's a problem. Difficulty is supposed to be here. It serves as challenges for a body temple that's physically disciplined. In my video, The Universal Gifts That God Has Given Us, divine, oh no, not that one, the 5 forms of training. The 5 forms of training, that video, I speak about physical training being a necessity in your human experience. You have to have a lifestyle where you physically train, because the body temple is designed to be challenged. So that it is designed to feel pain. It is designed to be broken down, but to build back up to be stronger. So failures, embarrassment, man, I'm learning so much from social media. Like, I'm learning so much from uploading these videos, because yeah, there is emotional pain. There is mental pain. There is physical pain. There is spiritual pain, where you have to deal with people thinking that one religion is the way. There is spiritual pain in terms of recognizing that people have a fear of the word God if it isn't fitting into their limited understanding that they have of the word God. Like, words, if they bother us, that is an issue. You have to take a moment, breathe, take a big breath, and think. Think for a second. God would never create you not to be able to handle something as abstract as words. So physical discipline is your body temple's natural skill of knowing how to endure and to be able to do it with grace, to be able to do it intelligently. That's why you focus on the breath, because it's next level intelligence. This is next level articulation and communication when you are focused on God. Your ability to be able to use any word, not to allow any word to be limiting or restricting in your desire to create. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of knowing that this is a discipline of the body temple. And as I said, this is not something you have to try hard for. You have to be willing to be physically disciplined. So that means exposure. You have to be willing to expose yourself to life. Go create something. Go create a product, a service, a business, an opportunity. And by creating, I mean be intentional. Be intentional about everything that you do, and that's you creating. And those opportunities are going to come for you to be mentally disciplined. The opportunities are going to come for you to be emotionally disciplined. The opportunities are going to come for you to be physically disciplined. If you trust God, you will be given the opportunities to trust God, if that makes sense. If you trust God, you will be given the opportunities to trust God. And that is when you are going to challenge the beliefs and then figure out, are they actually factual, or are they just beliefs you held because you felt or you thought that they made you safe? But once you are given the opportunity to trust God and you actually trust God, those beliefs, if they're true, will now become knowledge of power, because it's been implemented. It's knowledge that has now been implemented, which is divine wisdom. Okay, I'm gonna get off of that horse already. The fourth discipline of the body temple is spiritual discipline. This is my favorite. This is the one that takes the most time. This is where you are in what is called a liminal space. This is the space where you have to give yourself time, and you will be given the right amount of time necessary. So when we talk about divine timing, time is not playing a part of it. Divine timing is not in time, if that makes sense. Divine timing is literally recognizing, where is the waiting room? Where is the wait? Do people ask yourself, where is the waiting room of life? It's right here. The present moment is the waiting room of life. And in this waiting room, you have to learn to sit gracefully. You have to learn to sit like you truly trust God. And if you truly trust God, a state of mental peace is all you're supposed to be expressing. In this waiting room, it doesn't mean let it get cluttered, let it get dusty, not taking care or tending to the people that are here with you in this space, not caring about nature, not caring about your environment. No. In this waiting room, because you are a man or woman of faith and you understand that faith is mental obedience to God, you are going to be sitting in this space gracefully, contentedly, proudly. And so the emotions might be there, but that's between you and God. That confidence comes from that stability that you're now so tethered to. But it takes time to sit in this space properly. And that's why I created a mental fitness gym on social media. I created a space on social media where you come to practice sitting in grace. We have to learn to grow in grace from a state of mental peace. And so that skill comes from our willingness to master the skill. So you have to be willing to be mentally disciplined, willing to be emotionally disciplined, willing to be physically disciplined, willing to be spiritually disciplined, which is basically choosing to be a lifelong student of divinity, a conduit of divinity, a pupil of divinity, coachable. by divinity. So you, yes, do your prayers, read your scriptures, follow to the best of your ability the traits and qualities of God, but learn to be quiet, learn to be still, learn to master the skill of just being, because that is an inner sport. That is an inner practice. It has nothing to do with the words, the movement of the body. On the inside, we have to learn to maintain grace, and you have to practice grace. It doesn't just come naturally to all of us, even though it is natural to us, but you have to practice being natural in it. And it does seem awkward and uncomfortable at times, but only in the beginning. Once you understand that being godly is not about looking a certain way, it's about emanating, exuding a certain quality, a aura, then that's what you're going to focus on. And that aura comes from your spirit, and that spirit is the breath. So, all right. So it just means the body temple has the ability and capacity to intelligently know how to be, how to do, how to have. That's what spiritual discipline is. When I say spiritual discipline, it means you know exactly how to use your gift of being unique, your gift of being a unique goddess, a unique God. All right. Lastly, environmental discipline. And this doesn't get talked about. So, environment means to envelop, to immerse, and mental, envelop the mind. Environmental discipline is how can you use your mind in this world? When you understand spiritual discipline, environmental discipline is you bringing it all together. A godly man or woman has clear vision, knows what to do, and knows exactly what true wealth means. So when you learn to bring it all together, that is the life you create in this world. That is how you lead by example, by your actions. Mute every single person in this world and then watch their actions. It'll tell you what their true habits are. It'll tell you how strong of a foundation they have in God, because if your faith is truly strong, discipline is a part of it. That's the third principle of faith, is discipline. We cannot be men or women of faith if we lack discipline mentally, if we lack discipline emotionally, if we lack discipline physically. Overindulgence is not a trait of a godly man or woman. We do have to learn to rein ourselves in. So you should be practicing fasting. It should be a part of your lifestyle. I know it's not a thing we want to hear, but it should be. So environmental discipline is you trusting God's nature as being one with your nature. Because like I said, these disciplines are natural to the body temple. They are inherently a skill that the body temple already has. So I hope this helped you today. I look forward to working out with you later on today. Bye, guys.